and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 104. It is incredibly hot out today, and for any of you who enjoy this hot weather, now is your time to shine. I'm already ready for it to be fall. I went on a kayaking trip, it's honestly a lot of fun. If you've never been on one, it's a lot of fun. I am freaking burned. Yes, I applied a lot of sunscreen over and over again. I have really fair skin, so it's inevitable. I burn pretty much every year. But it's hot. I'm over summer now. It's time to go. It's time to go to fall. But you're going to learn about a mythical creature who probably likes summer or at least warmer weather. So let's get into it. It's
Lesson time.
Today's mythical creature lesson is the Merman. The Merman is the male version of mermaids. They're mythical beings from folklore, half human and half fish, often associated with the seas and water bodies. Mermen represent a connection to the subconscious, emotions, and the mysteries of the deep. When this sea monster visits your thoughts or dreams, you should explore your emotions, dive into your feelings, and listen to your intuition more. So if this pertains to you, let me know, and we're going to go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from Impact OK 5978 on Reddit.
This has been through my entire life. I don't know why I'm the only one that sees them, but I'll give you some background information. I live in upstate New York, in a very old town that caught fully on fire. And the house that I live in is one of them back in the 1900s. My grandpa rebuilt the house on very old land. Anyway, when I was younger, I had an imaginary friend. My mom said I called it a ghost. I had a rough home life. I don't remember anything about my childhood, so recently I asked her about it. Her name is either Buffy or Betsy. It was a while ago, so neither my mom or me remember. But my grandma was the first to notice. Her and I were in the laundry room, and I was playing on the floor, having a full conversation with someone. And my grandma asked me who I was talking to. I said a ghost. She obviously didn't believe me because I was 3 or around that. So she asked, okay, where is it then? And I said, right behind you. She left the room immediately, my mom said. But when I asked her what I would do with her, she said Buffy protected me. And she would sing me to sleep and talk to me. She also lived behind the TV. I then asked why I don't see her anymore, and she said that Buffy had gotten mean. One day I ran up to my mom saying that Buffy had slapped me. So she told me to say the stuff that people say on ghost shows. You are not welcome here. You have no power. All of that. And I guess after that, I stopped seeing her. So why did I ask my mom about her, you might ask? It wasn't to remember her. It was to ask her what she was wearing. Since I was 13 until now, I've seen things only 5 times, but they really stuck with me. One night, I was half asleep when I turned around to see 2 kids, an older girl and younger boy, standing together. The little girl had a bonnet and a dress. The boy had overalls. My mental health wasn't good, so I went straight back to bed, thinking it was something I saw because I was so tired. When I was 15, I was moving my table out of the way to put my AC in, and my friend was in my room. I moved the table away from the window and my friend was pushing it to the side. But she kept pushing, and I was holding it from going into the wall. When I turned around to tell her to stop, she was across the room looking in the mirror. I screamed because how could you not? I still can't explain it because I was pulling the table and it was still pushing away. But the next year, we put up the ACs and I was in my backyard. My cousin who lives here was putting up my grandpa's AC, which faces my backyard. They told me to go get my mom to help because it was so heavy. So I went inside. Immediately, my mom was at the door. I told her to go help my cousin, and she was like the opposite of herself. She said she had already told them no to helping and walked upstairs. So I was mad because I did it for no reason and ran back to my backyard. Tell me why, when I go out there, my mom was upstairs already helping them. It's not possible. I told my mom immediately what happened, and she said it wasn't her. She didn't talk to me, but she was wearing the exact same thing as my mom. I really can't explain this one because I've never had an experience like this, and it's the only one. I have no clue what this is, but I was getting changed in front of my boyfriend on FaceTime, and he saw a white face in the corner of the screen smiling. He said my name, so when I looked at the phone and saw it, I slammed my phone down. This hasn't ever happened again, but it really freaked me out. When I was on FaceTime with my boyfriend just a couple months ago, a baby doll, for a split second, ran across the bottom of my TV, floating and moving like someone was playing with it from the spot I saw the children to the other side of my TV. And then it disappeared, but it had a bonnet on and was wearing a dress. This is what made me want to piece everything together. When I asked my mom what Buffy was wearing, she said a bonnet and a dress. And I never told her about any of this recent shit I've seen, and I don't remember Buffy, so it kind of all clicked. This is the reason why I'm writing, because I can't explain it. I was drunk and plugging in my phone, and I felt this old, cold rubber hand grab mine. My friend was over, so I wasn't looking when the hand grabbed me because my plug-in is between my bed and the wall. That is implanted in my brain, and I don't know if my friend remembers because we were drunk. But the day after that, I staged my room. My bedroom always gives me this feeling, and it's always cold in here. I need the bad energy out, but nothing else has happened. If anyone has any answers, any help would be great. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say all of these experiences were probably due to the fact that you live in an older area, and if there was a huge fire, I can only imagine how many people passed away. But who knows? I mean, it could be all of that, or this person could just straight up be a semi-psychic or some kind of psychic. I don't know, maybe. If they're the only person that it's happening to and it's not happening to anybody else, maybe. Or maybe everybody else is literally just shrugging it off. I don't know. But that freaking imaginary friend, it's all fun and games until they slap you. I mean, okay, I have a son. And honestly, just the other day, he was staying at my mom's and he saw a man that was standing in my sister's room that she's staying in right now. So like, no, it's not an imaginary friend, but I still don't love it, but I kind of don't hate it either. It's weird. I don't want him to have an imaginary friend because I always feel like those turn out not great, but I kind of don't mind him like seeing things as long as it doesn't scare him. And that's kind kind of all I'm going to leave it at because I don't know. But anyhow, back to this story. Yeah, I think that's wild that this person is the only one that has experienced this. And I meant to ask them if they had asked their family if they had any experiences. I don't remember reading anything about them saying they did, but I just feel really bad because that's a lot to experience. It really is. It's a lot to experience for one person and a bunch of different kind of experiences at that. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. But anyhow, if you guys have any thoughts or comments, let me know. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from Adriana P37 on Reddit.
This happened in like the 80s, 30 years before I was born. When my dad and his two friends, we'll call Carl and Bob, were having a sleepover in the basement. It was around 11 p.m. and they just finished watching a movie together when Bob fell asleep. So, Carl and my dad were talking. And then Carl turns to my dad and says, "Do you see that?" And my dad says, You mean the ghost of a little boy hovering right above the bar? And they both looked at each other and ran upstairs. Obviously, when they came back down a few minutes later, he was gone. Does anyone know what this means? I am assuming this little boy just popped up to say hi. If that's the only encounter that they had ever had in this house, then I'm just assuming it was, maybe a ghost who got lost or just is looking around and was like, hey, watch this, watch what I can do. Maybe his intent was to scare them. Who knows? But did they just leave Bob down there? Because poor Bob. Honestly, poor Bob. Although he was asleep, so he's probably fine. But I think that is a fun little innocent ghost, honestly. Just literally just kind of hanging out there. I really don't think there is much to it unless there's anything else that this person's dad or anybody else in this story has seen. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they just saw a friendly little ghost. But what are your guys' thoughts? Let me know. If you have a story like either story today or any paranormal story in general, head on over to my website and submit it. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below. Or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to it'sanoddworldafterall.com.